Shalom. This is Nazama Shal Hamada Bar Yasharal on my channel Nazama the Hebrew Mystic Healer. Before I get started with the video, I would like to first show some love to my 3D kin, the 12 tribes of Israel, the Hebrew Israelites scattered to the four corners of this third dimensional earth plane of existence. Much love and shalom to you. I would also like to show some love to my cosmic kin, the Nibiru, the primordial dragons, the Anunnaki starseeds scattered to the 12 dimensions of this universal cosmic egg matrix. Much love and shalom to you. I would also like to show some gratitude and appreciation to my viewers, especially those of you who are subscribed. If you're not yet subscribed, please do so now, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any amazing content. Also, if you like this video, please show me by giving it a like. It does help. Thank you. So this is going to be part 2 of the first videos, how gods went from, forces of nature, egregores, and ancestral powers to angels, demons, and saints. So if you haven't watched the first part, definitely watch that part first. And I was going to do this video with pictures, but I decided the other video really needed the pictures, whereas this video is more of an expansion and a follow-up. So I felt like it wasn't quite as necessary. However, if you feel like you would like some text or some examples to back this up, you can always message me on my Facebook healing page and I can try to forward you some information. I will also try to drop some references in the drop down menu if I feel they're applicable to the video. So anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and jump in. So in the first video, we were covering some examples like, Ashtaroth, how Ashtaroth went from a goddess to, she was demoted to a demon, to an Egregore demon. We touched on how Yeshua became, or Yeshaya became Jesus, who is an egregoric, universal solar god. But originally was Yeshaya, or Yeshua, who was a man, an ancestor, a physical person, who then became this in order to perpetuate the Roman religion. We talked about Lilith as well, how she started out as a force of nature and ended up becoming a demon. And we went into some other examples as well. But basically, this video is going to focus more on the angels, because I'm not saying that there are no what people would call angels or demons, but this concept has been severely altered over the successive centuries. Really, I mean, there have been some religions, some ancient religions that have had the concept of angels and demons, but really they were more good gods and demigods and bad gods and demigods. And that's really a rudimentary way of looking at it. But basically you had the gods and demigods that were more, perceived as being more benevolent toward mankind. And then you had the gods and demigods that were perceived as being maleficent toward mankind. So that may be a more accurate way of breaking it down. Now, again, when you go back far enough, even in these religions, that always goes back to forces of nature or ancestral powers or egregores. However, really, like for example, let's look at, I know I mentioned this in other videos, if we look at the concept of angel or what it means. Angel comes from the word angelo, which means messenger. So that's literally all it is. So there are some sons of God, which is really what angels are, sons of God, or really children of the gods, or in some cases demigods, or later generation of gods. So when you look at it from this perspective, you can see how the concept of them as being angels is fairly recent. And really this began during Christianity, because even during, there are some people that say even during early ancient Hebraic culture, there are even some that say that they didn't even believe in the concept of angels and demons, that this was actually added later after, Roman Catholicism took over a lot of the texts. Because even if you talk to people right now, especially people that are Torah-centered or Torah only, a lot of them will say that there is no such thing. Now, I'm not saying that these types of beings do not exist, but what I am saying is that the concept of angels and demons is fairly recent. However, the concept of gods or later generations of gods or demigods is actually something that goes very far back and extends into every culture. And they all have their different version of that. So let's look at demons. And I've mentioned this in my video about what the demon is, but let me touch on this again as well. Demon, literally the word comes from daemon, which is Greek for a divine intelligence. So really, if you want to get technical without confusing you, angels are also daemons or demons, because an angel would be considered a divine intelligence according to, the Hebraic and, later, the Hebraic text and the later Christian, dogma, right? Or Catholic Christian dogma. So they would actually be, by the original definition, daemons or demons, because all it means is a divine intelligence. So, and actually, the daemon was originally considered a benevolent force. It was considered by Plato actually the genius or the inner genius of somebody. And some people considered it to be like an external force that represented like your divine nature or assisted you in developing your divine nature. Sometimes some people believed it came like in, the form of an animal or like, a familiar or a totem or something along those lines. However, either way, initially the concept of demon or daemon was not an evil being that was considered, in opposition to mankind or their spiritual development. It just meant divine intelligence, and actually it was considered to represent the full divine potential of a soul. So you can see how these like misappropriations and these various cultural fusions have severely altered the definition of these terms that, we loosely throw around these days. What demons are, what angels are. And again, as I mentioned in my first video, this is fairly new. These concepts have really only been around since the Middle Ages, as far as the concepts of there being like demons that you are summoning that have these specific names, or angels that you are summoning that have these specific names. Now, I'm not saying that people weren't invoking or evoking gods or demigods or various spirits or entities or the dead or anything like that. But what I am saying is the specific names that these beings were given, the concept of there being angels and demons in opposition to each other, or at the very least, being on opposing polarities. One being in the Sephiroth, one being in the Qibla, for example, is a fairly new concept. So even when you look at the names of angels, 99% of them have L at the end. Why is that? Where does this L come from? El means power. Elyon means most high power in Hebrew, right? El is also an ancient Mesopotamian sky god or most high god. Therefore, his children or the other generations, the later generations of demigods, had El as part of the name. Now, this is really common in Hebrew culture, where your power, the power that you're under, your ancestral power, the power that you're under by extension, is in your name. This is even where we get the concept of last names too in other cultures as well. But the whole idea that you take on your father's name in most cases. So you can see this repeated. So even when you look back into this time frame, you can see how these angels took on El. But El, again, was actually an ancient Mesopotamian sky god. And this is found in the Hebrew texts. El being power, Elyon or Al. In fact, multiple powers is either Elohim or Elohim, right? This is found in the Hebrew scripts. So, there are even some demons that have the El or the Al on the end of their name. Baal, for example. And what's funny about that is Baal actually started out as a fertility god. Going back to my original point, how, once again, like the first video, what I was saying, is that how all demons, angels, and saints really started out as ancestral powers, gods, or egregores. Demigods, by the way, are still gods. They're just later generations, and sometimes they're mixed with human, according to those mythologies. This is, in the Hebrew mythology, they would be called the fallen angels, the watchers that mixed their seed, and they became the Nephilim, but those are demigods. Because the fallen angels were actually the Anunnaki, or the Nibiru. I don't want to just throw around the term Anunnaki because it's really referring to a specific group of Nibiru. But anyway, the Nibiru that came down that mixed with the humans. So, it wasn't fallen angels. I mean, technically what they mean to mean fallen angels are the elves or the powers that came down to earth from the heavenly realm or from the celestial realm. Because remember, angel just means messenger. What they're really called is sons of God or sons of gods. Because remember, Elohim is plural. The most high power of the council of gods. Who is the most high power? The top guy, the sky god over the universe, the celestial god over this universe that sits in the highest heavens. It doesn't mean that all of the other gods under him are not gods, but then later monotheism demoted them to angels and demons because it was the only way that they could fit in these beings to fit into the religious system, was to demote them and give them, different titles to make them seem like they weren't all gods, when that's what they were. Again, regardless of how they started out, whether or not they started out as forces of nature or ancestral powers or egregores, meaning they're created, however they started out, they still started out as gods and were brought down or demoted into the status of angels, demons, and saints. Why did this happen? In order for monotheism to take over in the forefront, to control the masses, to make everyone more unified, to cut people off from their own culture and their own heritage, when these cultures and these heritage didn't go along with what they were trying to do as they were setting up power structures in this world. So I was going to go into this a little more in depth, but I think actually I hammered home the point. So I may re-record this video or I might add to it, I'm not sure. But I hope that it did provide some, further clarification, a little deeper information. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like this video and share. Come visit my healing page, facebook.com, The Hebrew Mystic Healer, all one word. The link for my healing page is in the drop-down menu of this video. Full descriptions of services are in the pinned post on my healing page. You can book any service ranging from retro-cosmic akashic record readings, akashic portraits, draconic natal starseed charts, spirit releasement, intuitive guidance, angelic healing, Asui Reiki, and more by simply clicking on the blue Book Now button. Also, don't forget to check out Patreon. Do not miss out on the techniques and guided meditations for psychic and spiritual protection, ancestral healing, advanced shadow work, activating your light Merkaba, connecting with your soul family, light language activation, recalling past lives, activating major and minor chakra points, and much more. The link for Patreon is in the drop-down menu. Thank you for your support. Stay tuned for the next video.